In Wheelock chapter 21, we're going to cover the present system passives for third and fourth conjugation. And we've already looked at first and second conjugation passive forms in the present system and the perfect system using the present stem and perfect stem. So now we want to tackle third and fourth conjugations here. Now, about forming third and fourth conjugation verbs. In Wheelock, Chapter 8, we were introduced to these last two verb conjugations in the present system or the present stem, present, imperfect, and future active indicative. Now, before looking at how to form the passive voice forms in each tense, we will quickly review third and fourth conjugation forms in the active voice, especially since that future tense pattern deviates from the first and second conjugation verbs. Those are the ones that use the be tense formative or tense sign. So I want to, before we actually look at the forms, just go through a couple of the mnemonic devices that we learned. So what I taught you was for third and fourth conjugations. This is important for knowing the way to identify the present versus the imperfect and the future for third and fourth conjugations, especially compared to first and second conjugation forms. All right. So here's what we said in third and fourth conjugations. I and you are present. The imperfect is clear, but the future can be unclear. All right. And this is to remind you then that when you see the personal endings with an O, I, and U coming right before them, you're looking for that being present tense. And imperfect is clear because the typical tense sign or formative or tense morpheme is ba with the long A. But in the future, which is normally be, that form bo be be boo, that's unclear when it comes to futures. And then our second memory device was this: first and second conjugation futures will be. Third and fourth conjugation futures will not be, but they will e. And so that rhymes, right? So these third and fourth conjugation futures aren't going to have the tense morpheme be, but they will e, meaning instead of adding that, they're going to go straight to a vowel, and you're going to see an a or an e. First singular is everything else has an e before that personal ending. We're going to see those here in just a minute. So as for forming the passive, as with first and second conjugation, generally you replace the active personal endings with the passive personal endings for each corresponding tense. So we're going to be dealing with present, imperfect, and future here. Now, we gave you a mnemonic device for passive personal endings. In our restaurant, more and many enter. So the word "in" is added to the personal endings in the passive here just to create a sentence. So in our restaurant, more and many, many, enter. All right. So hopefully that memory device has helped you to keep those passive personal endings in your mind and distinct from the active ones. Now, the only exceptions here with just replacing the passive endings for the active, but keeping everything else the same, is found with third conjugation verbs. Those have a little bit of difficulty because of deviations in two places: the second singular forms in the present passive, and then in the present passive infinitive for third conjugation. So we'll look at some of those deviations here in just a moment. Let's take a look now at the passive in the present tense. So here we're going to focus on this right column. This is the present passive, but by way of contrast with the present active for these third, fourth, and third conjugation io or eo verbs. So remember, we were using ago, the infinitive agere, to lead for our third conjugation paradigm. Fourth conjugation audio, and audire is the infinitive, and then capio, capere. So audio is I hear, capio I take. All right. Now, just putting some of these memory device principles into practice. This present tense, remember, we said O, I, and U are present. The imperfect is clear, and the future can be unclear. So there's our O, there's our I, which we see all the way throughout, and then there's our U. Okay, so O, I, and U are present. So we're going to see O's and then I's and U here in all these forms. Third and fourth conjugations do like to follow each other, generally in form. So ago, agis, agit, agimus, agitus, agunt. Now let's take a look at the present passive for this ago form. And remember, passive means the subject is acted upon. Present at the present time, or this could be progressive present. So you could translate these as I am led, I am being led, and so forth. All right, so agor, so I am led. Ageris, you are led. Agitur, he she it is led. Agimor, y'all we are led. Agimini, that's y'all are led. You. Aguntur, they are led or are being led. Okay, so what have we done here? We've taken ago and we've added the r. Okay, we've taken agis, and here we have dropped the is and replaced it with eris. So this is a place where there's not just switching out the s for ris, but we're actually changing that to an E and then adding ris there, okay? So agit, if I drop the T and add tur, I get agitur. Agimus, if I add drop the mus and add mur, I've got my form. Agitis, drop tis and add mini, and I've got that form. And then agunt, so I'm just basically adding unt and or dropping unt and adding untur. All right. So basically, our principle is you drop the actual personal ending. So I would suggest that the personal ending here is just not applied on the present tense. It's just the o with nothing. So the nothing is being dropped and supplied with an r to replace the nothing. Okay. So anyhow, so you can see the principle here. This is where we have a little bit of squirrely action going. It's not ageris, but ageris, ageris. All right. So with audio, audis, audit, audimus, auditus, and audiunt for the present, we have pretty much the same thing as the present active, except we're replacing the active endings with passive. So audior, auditus, auditor, audimur, audimini, audiuntor. All right, so I am heard, you are heard, and so forth. Capio, capis, capit, capimus, capitis, capiunt. Looks just like audio, except we've got short I's in places where we would have long I's in these fourth conjugation forms. Remember, this is third conjugation, not fourth conjugation, because capio's infinitive is not capire, as audire, but capere, like agere. So that's what makes this third conjugation. But it's an eo third conjugation because of this I that likes to sneak in here in these two forms, capio and capiunt, as opposed to ago, agun. No I there, right? So that makes it look fourth conjugation-ish, but I's are short. Okay, now take a look at the passive. Capior, so I am taken, versus capio, I take. Caperis, so you are taken, versus capis. So notice we're not just dropping the S and leaving the I. We get the E before it is. Capitur. Okay, so replacing the T with tur. He, she, it is taken. Capimor. We are taken. Capimini. Y'all are taken. capiuntur, and they are taken. So I've put in shading here these second singular forms that are unusual compared to the pattern, and hopefully this will help you remember that that's where we've got deviation from the principle of just replacing, simply replacing passive personal endings for the active ones. Okay, so watch out for the E before ris. Okay, for ager and normal third conjugation and third conjugation EO forms like caperes. Okay, so let's go down here and look at the imperfect active paradigm. And I'm not going to necessarily read all these on the left. The forms are here for you, just making points of comparison. So third conjugation imperfect with ago was agebam, and this is I was leading. So remember, ba with a long a is the principle here. I'm adding ba, and I saw that ba in all forms here. Audiebam, capiebam. Okay. The A should be long unless an ant and trim issue comes up in the personal ending that causes the long vowel to shorten. So M is in our ant and trim forms, and then NT in any position. Okay, final M here, final T, but then NT and ND in any position. These can cause the A to shorten. But we have ba 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 ba. So this is great. And I mentioned that in the memory device, O, I, and U are present. The imperfect is clear because the imperfects are using ba as the second and first conjugations do. The future can be unclear. The B is hiding. It's gone into hiding. Can't see it. So we can't expect it or lean on it for future tense identification with third and fourth conjugation verb forms. All right. So what am I going to do to make these imperfect and passive? Well, I'm going to basically do the same thing I do over here. I add the ba, tense formative or tense morpheme, tense sign, but then instead of the mst, mustis, nt, I'm just adding r, restaurant, more, and many, enter. I'm just adding those. Okay. Very much the same principle here. So let's just read the forms. Agebar. So I was being led. Agebaris. So you were being led. Agebatur. He or she was being led. Agebamur. We were being led. Agebamani. Y'all were being led. Agebantur. They were being led. With audiebam, I was hearing, just switching that M for an R. Audiebar for a fourth conjugation. So let's read that. So I was being heard. Audiebar, audiebaris, audiebater, audiebamur, audiebamini, audiebantur. So I, you, he, she, it was being heard. We, y'all, they were being heard. Okay, and then capiebam, capiebas, I was taking, you were taking, just changing out MST for our tur. Okay, so let's read those together real quickly. Capiebar, so I was being taken. Capiebaris, you were being taken. Capiebatur, he, she, it was being taken. Capiebamur, we were being taken. Capiebamini, y'all were being taken. Capiebantur, they were being taken. Now let's look at future. So remember, the futures are where the third and fourth conjugations get very, very unwieldy for us, and they verge into looking like second declension forms. So recall, first and second conjugation futures will be, third and fourth conjugation futures will not be, but will e. Oops. They will E. Okay, so no B's here in the future active. So just to review here, so instead of agebo or something like that, we get agam, agam. So let me just read these. So agam, I will lead. Ages, you will lead. Aget, he she it will lead. Agemus, we will lead. Agetus, y'all will lead, and then agent, they will lead. So we have and then E all the way throughout. The E is long unless an ant and trim situation causes the E to shorten here. Okay? And then our fourth conjugation and third conjugation EO forms, they're basically following this, but getting that I vowel in there. So audiam, audies, audiet, audiemus, audietis, audient, right? So and E are throughout, but as a fourth conjugation, we have I's that sneak in there. And then capio, we have and E as well, right, throughout. But with the I sneaking in here as well. So capiam, capies, capiet, capiemus, capietis, capient. Okay, so pretty much the backside of these look exactly like fourth conjugation. Now, what do we do to make these passive? What are we going to do here? So it's to say, I will be led, I will be heard, I will be taken. We're going to take the future forms, agam, ages, and we're just going to change the M, the S, and the T out for a R, ris, and tur. This is wonderful. It is exactly the same kind of pattern. Okay, now what does change, and this is important to point out, is that ant and trim, we have a T that causes the E to shorten here, right? And NT causes the T to shorten. The principle with ant and trim is that NT and ND can be in any position; they'll cause shortening. But with the others, ant and so the trim part T, R, and M, those have to be final to cause the preceding vowel to shorten. Well, T's final, the E is short here, right? But I want you to notice that the T is not final here on agatur. And since it's not final, the E gets to retain its long quality. All right. So NT, on the other hand, that is an any position rule, not just final NT, but NT anywhere. It can cause the preceding vowel to shorten here. Okay. And then, of course, ant and trim, the R of trim is final, and therefore the A has to be short here always. Okay, so let's read these forms here and practice our pronunciation and the pattern. All right, so agar, so I will be led. Ageris, you will be led. Agetur, he, she, it will be led. Agemur, we will be led. Agemini, y'all will be led. And agentur, they will be led. Audiar, okay, instead of audiam, audiar, I will be heard. Audieris, you will be heard. Audietur, he, she, it will be heard. Audiemur, we will be heard. Audiemini, y'all will be heard. Audientur, they will be heard. And then capiam, capies, capiet, just changing that to capiar, ris, and tur, right? Same forms, but keeping the long E before the T here because it's not final. So capiar, I will be taken. Capieris, you will be taken. Capietur, he, she, it will be taken. Capiemur, we will be taken. Capiemini, y'all will be taken. Capientur, they will be taken. All right, so notice that there's some potential confusion in forms for third and the third conjugation second singular, and the macron really matters here. The present passive second singular for these third conjugation forms, ageris and caperis, you are led. That's present tense, right? Notice the E here is a short E in these forms. Caperes, ageres. But with the future passive second singular, and we were just looking at these, right here and here, we have this long E wherever we can get it. So ageris and capieris. So this is future, not present. That long E really matters. And you'd also get the I here as well on the EO forms, but just want to note that vowel E there. So you will be led. Ageris, you are led. Ageris, you will be led. Caperis, you are taken. Capieris, you will be taken. All right, so watch out for that. No, also that third conjugation eo and fourth conjugation verbs usually look the same throughout the present tense, except for that short I compared to long I. I pointed that out. And this also applies to present passive, okay? And it's in the present tense, active and passive, that we get this short I versus long I. In the other tenses, these fourth conjugation and third conjugation eo forms end up looking the same, okay? But you also can't forget the wonky second singular form for third conjugation of present passive. So caperis versus audiris. Those are both second singular present passive, but they don't look the same, okay? Because of that switch to the E here. Okay, now for the perfect systems passive indicative, these thankfully follow the pattern that we've already learned for first and second conjugation verbs in chapter 19. We take the perfect passive participle and then we add a form of sum, either the present, the imperfect, or the future of it to get the perfect passive, pluperfect passive, or future perfect passive. All right, so example using ago, the fourth principal part is octum, and if it's masculine, it's going to be octus, feminine octa, neuter octum, and then the form of sum. So if I take that as a first singular form, then it's I was led or I have been led. All right, if I'm a woman, I would say acta sum, for I was led. So same principle here. Now, with present passive infinitives, fourth conjugation forms are like first and second conjugation. That is, we usually have re, right? Remember, re is the way our infinitives end, and we're just changing that E to a long I. And we learned that in a prior chapter for first and second conjugation. Fourth conjugation forms do the same thing. But, and this is the big but, third conjugation replaces the ere form of the infinitive just with the long I. So we drop not just the final E, but ere altogether. And then we're adding a final I here. And these are shaded below. And there's a chart here for your reference. So let's just look at them real quickly. So first conjugation, present active infinitive, laudare, to praise, becomes laudari. So are, ari. So to be praised. Now that's passive in meaning. Present passive infinitives on the right. Monere, to warn, active. Moneri, to be warned, passive. Again, just changing the E out for an I, it's long. Agere, to lead or drive. And then I'm dropping ere, keeping the ag, agi. Agi, to be led, to be driven, passive. Audire, to hear, and audiri, to be heard, passive. So, re changes to ri here. And then capere, to take, third conjugation, eo form. Capi, not caperi, but drop the whole er, e, and replace it with the long I. Capi, to be taken. So, last thing, Wheelock just reminds us that we can do synopses, and here we can form an active and passive synopsis for the third person plural of ago, to lead. So let's just read through these forms and see if you can anticipate what these are going to be here. So for the active present, agunt, and the passive present, aguntur. So they lead, are leading, active, passive, aguntur, they are led or are being led. The futures will not be, but will e, so we need our e forms here. Agent, so they will lead. Agentur, they will be led. Imperfect, agebant, so here the imperfects are clear because they have the ba and the long e before the tense morpheme here for imperfect. Agebant, so they were leading. Agebantur, they were being led. Now, perfect system. Here we're using the perfect stem rather than the present stem. So egi is our perfect principal part, and so we're going to use the erunt for third plural. So egerunt, and we could translate that as they have led, and or simply they led. And then for the passive, remember we take a form of the the fourth principal part, the perfect passive participle, and add a form of sum. And because we're doing third person plural, we want sunt for our present tense of to be to create the perfect passive. So acti sunt, if I'm a group of women, actai sunt, right? This has got to be masculine plural, and nominative if we're men, and feminine plural if we're women. All right, so future perfect is a get it. So the forms here are not be, but they're actually gonna reflect what the future of some looks like for future perfect. So they will have led, and acti erunt. Here we're using the future of sum. They will have been led, and then finally egerat. So they had led, active, and then they will have been led, pluperfect passive, acti erant. And remember, to do this, we're using the imperfect of sum, the forms that have era for the most part, eram, eras, erat, and so forth, and with our perfect passive participle in front. So acti erant. All right, good. So hopefully this helps, and we now know how to form the passive forms for third and fourth conjugation now.